Oh, it is good to be back. It is good to be back. Oop. Well, everybody, I apologize for my absence. I had to move. It's basically it. Nothing else happened. I just had to move a bunch of stuff. And I completely have not had any time to even work on the BMW, let alone record some videos. So when I was in the market for an N54, I really wanted a 335 IS, preferably a convertible with a manual, or an E90 sedan. So what I'm going to be doing today is converting the front of my car to look like an E90 M3. Now, why would I be doing that? Well, me personally, I've never been a fan of the OEM E90 look. I have, however, preferred the front end of an E90 M3, which is essentially just taking a coupe front end and slapping it on a sedan. But when I first picked up my E90, I immediately began looking for E90 M3 front end parts, and they all had to be OEM. And almost immediately after I bought my car, I found E90 M3 factory hood, and the price was $300. I couldn't believe it. Since then, my luck has been poor. This core support I had to pick up from the dealership. However, it was on sale, so I got a really good price on it. Better than what all these guys are asking for their used core supports. A brand new core support for 200 bucks. And everybody on eBay, Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp, all of them asking minimum 350 bucks. That was the cheapest price I could find. $350? No, brand new, 200 bucks. I also had to source some E92 headlights, which you can pull off of any regular E92. It doesn't have to be an M3. That cost me a pretty penny as well. The headlights ran me about $800. Ouch. Another really expensive bit was the front bumper, which did run me about $800. $800 for a bumper? Yeah, it's genuine OEM, and it did come in the color of this car, space gray metallic. And it did come without front parking sensors, which is actually what I wanted, I promise. Surprisingly, I had to go to the dealer as well to buy my M3 fenders. And the reason why is because everybody's asking outrageous prices for their used fenders. Most of the time, the color's not even matching. And I just went ahead and bought it from a dealership instead. Why? Well, because it's cheaper to buy it unpainted from a dealer rather than buy it used on someone's car, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I did also have to source the side skirts from an authentic M3. Mismatching colors though, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and get that repainted. Gonna have to paint a lot of things, but making dreams come true today. Now, I did try my best to use the factory core support with the 335i one. Don't do it. There's a lot of mismatching gaps. There's a lot of things wrong. You can't line anything up. The hood doesn't shut correctly. Just go ahead, get yourself one of these M3 core supports. BMW dealers have it on sale a lot. And again, 200 bucks. Don't buy it used. Just buy it new. Oh yeah. Alright, so taking this apart is actually pretty self-explanatory until you get to this point in time. Things get a little complicated when we're removing the hood latch. So let's just walk through that real quick. Obviously, we're going to want to undo this little mechanism. Fairly simple. Alright, now that we're here, go ahead, pop this out. Alright, grab this ball here, run it through the corner. So we're going to put this onto the new core support. We need to remove this crash bar, move it onto our new core support as well. I'm going to take this metal for the striker, which I'm going to reuse as well. Perfect. Nice. You can already tell it's lining up with the headlight really well. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Now just to align it anyway. Compared to the original E90 core support, this M3 specific one coming along really well. Fitting much better, everything's lining up. Pretty happy with it so far. Okay, so this is what it looks like with everything put on for a test fit. This is actually how I drove the car around for months on end until I got back around to working on it, which starts right now. So this is the temperature sensor that you see on your dash. I had to go ahead and relocate that because my 335i one didn't reach all the way into the passenger side vent, as you can see there. And this is the OEM M3 passenger side vent, so I had to go ahead and extend that. So my original temperature sensor was actually ripped out when the car was in motion. So using some butt connectors, some leftover wire, and some heat shrink, as you can see there, I had to extend it. So I'm not really sure if you'll have to do this, but I threw it in here just in case. All right, now my car came with the oil cooler already. I went ahead and removed the passage over. So that's my oil cooler vent laying right there. I went ahead and moved it already. We're gonna put the M3 one on right there, and this will go onto the front bumper. And to be honest, it does line up with the factory 335i oil cooler pretty well. Part number, which I'm gonna go ahead and put in the description below as well, in case you need to replace this support brace. Whatever it is, go ahead and throw the part number here as well. Now we can see that duct. It's gonna bolt right up to that bumper very nicely. Essentially, the air is gonna go from here through the oil cooler and finally reach the brakes. Driver's side, however, it's a little more complex. Now this front fender is torn up, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace this one. Okay, so this is for extra air to the engine. Unfortunately, in here, but it'll bolt onto the fender liner right there. Okay, that's about what it will look like when it's on the bumper. Not bad. On the driver's side, I went ahead and just cut a hole through here because it's gonna mount up. It'll send air to this section. I mean, brake cooler for my brakes. Time to replace it with my freshly painted plastic M3 fender. The 335i one is made of metal. This one's made of plastic. That is how they come out. Now it appears that the fenders didn't line up well. I had to use these spacers onto the very last bolt of the fender right there, and it mounted up a lot better. Right away we can see that the 335i parts are not really compatible with the M3 parts, and some modifications will have to be made to make this fit. Where the fender bolts up to the body at the very top, in between the door, as you can see right here, it does have to be adjusted to make it line up with the fender. I was able to do this with just a flathead screwdriver, as you can see in this video. Took a couple of attempts, but it went on fine, and then I was able to put a bolt inside of the top fender, as you can see here in this video. Well, not putting the bolt on, but just adjusting it, of course. Now we did have to Dremel into part of the lower fender, as you saw in that previous clip, just as such as it demonstrated there, and now it does bolt on to the 335i body perfectly, actually. Now you can see how the rocker panel and the fender now line up to the 335i body, using zip ties, of course. Despite everything, it's actually fitting pretty well. Just gonna get everything else on, and I'm gonna work on the gaps. So far, so good. I'm not really digging that.
Oh, I should get it down. Yeah, wait. I think what we'll do is we're gonna peel these off. here. And we're taking out the line. So anytime I do a line, it's taking out the line. So it's on, we cut it on this side of the line, not this side. So all the red will be cut. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. No sense in having that little piece.
Yeah. Now this is just us playing around with the bumper, trying to find a good fitment with the hood and the fender. We did have to go ahead and modify the headlight bracket so that we can make the headlights move forward just a little bit more, as you can see in this video. Some drilling did have to be required for that. Now this is just to close that gap between the headlight and the bumper just a little bit more. Okay, so I'm sure there's a bracket that goes in between the fender and the front bumper, but I'm just gonna use this device. Good enough. Yeah, decent. Purists, do you see this? Do you see this? I do this for you. You're welcome. Alright, another pain in the ass on this conversion is getting this onto the fender. As you can see, there's a huge difference between the two. Fun fact, by the way, for the M3 turn signals, the one that is mounted onto the fender, here's the plug, and here's one of the plugs off my injector. Same as that thing. Luckily for me, I have this harness standing by, and as we can see, this injector wire, it's the same exact input as the M3 turn signal. So this is off the injector. We have a perfect connection. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this old connection off for the 335i turn signal. That's hot. Very nice. You happy, purists? Took the M3 logo off. They'll be getting replaced with something else. Okay, and then the finishing touches is actually pretty easy. It's the emblem. Was this the project I thought it was gonna be? No. This took a long time. It was a lot more work than I thought it was gonna be, not gonna lie, but I gathered all the parts and I was in too deep when I realized just how much I had to do. I was in so deep that I had to finish it anyway. Would I do it again? No. Am I pretty glad I'm here? Kinda. Looks pretty good though. Don't mind that. So I did mine a little different. I wanted this to all be black. Typically these are body color, but I wasn't feeling how it looked. I didn't like how it turned out at all. I enjoyed the look a lot more. Keep in mind though, as you can see right here, this kind of pops out just a little bit. That's because I'm still running my original 335i cowl, which does clash with the M3 vent just a little bit. I also went ahead and had to order 2 passenger side vents so I could glue it onto the driver's side, since it just creates a giant hole and water would leak down into this part of the motor, which I wasn't enjoying very much. So for that, again, I ordered 2 of these, cut this up on one of it, and then glued it onto this passenger vent. Now this side doesn't clash at all with the cowl. As you can see, it's pretty flush with the hood, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. But this side, I'm gonna have to trim away at the cowl just a little bit, just to make it sit flush with the hood. Until then, it'll continue to just bulge out just a little bit. Keep in mind, these parts did come in all sorts of colors. This was bought used, but it did come in space gray metallic, but the condition wasn't too great, so this had to get touched up a lot. This also came in space gray, but the condition was awful. Had to get touched up a lot. These are off of a 335i coupe. You don't have to buy an M3 set of headlights or an M3 bracket. I was able to use the 335i ones just fine, and as you can see with the gaps and all, it worked out pretty well. I did have to buy the Fender's OEM just because I wasn't able to find it anywhere at a reasonable price. It was actually cheaper to buy it from a dealership unpainted than it is to buy one with the wrong color, or if it's the right color. It was still expensive to buy anyway. People are asking way too much for these M3 Fenders. I looked for months to find some. It was honestly better to just go to the dealership, which it ended up costing less, and it was unpainted. It was a brand new part. Rocker panels, as I already mentioned, bolted on just fine, besides a little zip tie job we had to do there. Just had to get all sorts of clips to make sure that it bolts onto the body. Not clips, but little rubber grommets. It depends on if you have an LCI or pre-LCI rocker panel. It'll be clips if it's LCI, and then grommets if it's not. I don't recall that well. As you can see on the rear, since the M3 is just a little bit wider in terms of the body, it does poke out just a little bit at the rocker panel, but I don't care. If you do have a good deal on some M3 rear quarter panels though, that will be the next project for this one, just to make it just a little wider. As you can see, it's by not that much, half an inch or so, but it does look significantly better. So that is the next body work project that I have lined up. I have the paint and everything laid out, but my car did require a lot of paint work just because I was buying all my used parts and new parts with mismatching colors. I hope you don't have to run into that issue, but the prices of M3 parts are significantly more expensive. At the same time though, it was a great project, had a lot of fun. I do have some N54 badges coming in for my fenders, so it'll look a lot better once those are on. I also want to take a second just to thank everybody for watching this channel, encouraging me to do this build. Definitely not been the easiest, but everything about it has been worthwhile. I regret nothing with this project. And please shoot me a message on Instagram if you have any questions regarding this build, this process, body conversion, engine stuff, etc. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else's build looks like, and thanks again for watching, especially if you watch the entire thing. Thank you, and I'll see you soon.